Our next topic that shouldn't be complicated at all, but it seems that it's complicated for some, is that if men can get pregnant. I'm going to tell you another anecdote from my childhood. I remember that I was watching TV back in the early 80s. I must have been, I don't know, 8 years old or something like that. I was watching my cartoons, and then was, the ads, the advertisement. And all of a sudden was this promotion of this magazines, the science magazines of the day. I was a fan of science magazines. I'm a fan of science fiction. That's what I'm a fan of AI and everything. And I remember something that I have never forgotten because I found it disturbing. But a kid, 8 years old, watching TV and having this science magazine. We have the edition of this month. We have these articles. Everything was fine until the last one, who said literally, now men can get pregnant. I was around 8 years old at the time. It was mid 80s. And I was, again, why? I could never get a hold of that magazine, by the way. But I remember there was this diagram of a man. This is like a silhouette of a male, of a man. And you have a tiny animation of his belly growing. And I already at 8 years old, for reasons that I might explain at some point, I already knew how the whole thing worked. I mean, I was, let's say, I was left to my own devices and many stuff. I had a lot of books of everything that I had access to, literally thousands of books. And let's say that some books were not meant for an 8-year-old. But I knew the whole thing. But men can get pregnant? That left me with a what? I knew everything about the anatomy. I knew everything about the process. That math ain't mathing, I said back then. But I could never really get a hold of that magazine. And I was worried. I was genuinely worried because what if I got pregnant? Imagine that. An 8-year-old kid just watching something passing on TV and then being worried about, okay, what if I get pregnant? Okay, imagine that. So now, lo and behold, say like 40 years later, we still have the woke stuff, the crazy stuff is not dead yet. We are trying to kill it, but it's not dead yet. And Senator Josh Hawley says, can men get pregnant? And this supposed Dr. Nisha Verma, well, I'm pretty sure that there's a terminal libtard or part of the terminally ill libtards clan. I am not really sure what the goal of the question is. What? Hawley says the goal is just establish a biological reality. Can men get pregnant? And I have to warn you, this exchange is painful to say the least. Okay, this is muted. Okay, now we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since you bring it up, why don't we just start there? Dr. Verma, I wasn't sure I understood your answer to Senator Moody a moment ago. Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities.
You mean that you take care of people with mental illnesses, with literal mental illnesses, right? That is what you mean. You could say that. You can articulate that. It's easy.
And so that's where I paused. I think. Yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question.
The goal is just to.
Okay, so I have to highlight this comment. Sorry, I have to highlight this comment. The Arnold movie freaked me out as well. I remember that movie as well. I don't know what was my age. I did not watch that movie, but only the concept of a man getting pregnant. Again, it reminded me of that moment when I saw that ad on TV about men getting pregnant. So again, I even with all the information that I had, even of all the knowledge that I had this fear, literal fear, that can this really happen and how? And don't get me started of what kind of theories and I'm a very visual person. I think that is obvious. How my imagination tried to picture how the fuck was the baby going to go out. I'm just going to leave that there because it is not nice memories to have. And yeah, I do have memories of being frightened by the idea of, a kid. I was just a kid.
Establish a biological reality. You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
Can men get
I take care
pregnant?
of many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women. That
Can men get
Mental illness.
pregnant?
Again, as I'm saying,
Let me just remind you, you testified to a moment ago. Science and evidence should control, not politics. So can men get pregnant? You're a
totally
doctor, I
agree.
think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like this are a political tool.
Yes or no question are a political tool. I was watching this. I already watched this clip. And I remember that scene on Airplane when this guy, the protagonist, was talking to people on in the plane, and there was this guy that's pouring gasoline on himself and about to light a match because he couldn't start. That's how I feel right now. That's how I feel right now. This is embarrassing. And this complements very well what we were talking about, the invasion of the Western world because of suicidal empathy. How is this a conversation in the Western world? The Western world is the laughingstock of the world because of this. Because this conversation should not be taking place. These people, this doctor and her different identities, patients, all of them should be thrown into an insane asylum. Arkham. They have to go full Arkham. We have to go full Arkham on them.
No, yes/no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. This is about science and evidence, and I'm asking you. The United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical. It affects real people in their real lives. And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert, and you've been telling us that you follow, right, you're a doctor, and you follow the science and the evidence. So
Science and evidence, and she's an expert designated by, you guess right, the libtards.
I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not. I'm trying to get, it's not complex. I'm trying to get to an answer, and I'm trying to test, frankly, your veracity as a medical professional and as a scientist. Can men get pregnant?
I think you're also conflating
This is
male
extraordinary.
female with
No, I'm not conflating male and female. They're two different things. There's biological men and there's biological women. And I want to know, can men get pregnant?
what you were talking about is biological.
You're not going to answer my question, it sounds like to me.
Biological males.
This isn't hard, doctor. Can men get pregnant? Yes or no?
Again, I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you that is not coming from a place of trying to be polarized and push.
I'm not
people-
trying to be polarizing. I'm trying to ask, I think it is extraordinary that we are here in a hearing about science and about women.
You know what is the craziest thing, or the most interesting, I would say interesting thing, is that she could say that men can actually get pregnant, because if she defends the fact that she attends, or I don't know, she has patients of all sorts of identities, then she could say, yes, men can get pregnant. Why doesn't she just say that? Because there's a literal yes or no question. Either men can get pregnant or men cannot get pregnant. It is obvious that she's not going to say that men cannot get pregnant. And it is a yes-no question, because you cannot be half pregnant or kind of pregnant. So she's purposefully avoiding the question to appease, I don't know who, the woke mob. You're going to lose your job, most likely. I have noticed that people are really still terrified of the woke mob. This woman is terrified of the woke mob. And she knows that she can't say directly, yes, men can get pregnant, because that doesn't make sense. At least, I would say, the way that she's trying to avoid answering the question, at least there's some kind of humanity in her. Because if she was a total convert, she said, yes, men can get pregnant. I see that all the time in my practice. She doesn't even have the guts to defend whatever she stands for. And it's pathetic.
And for the record, it's women who get pregnant, not men. We are here about the safety of women and science that shows that this abortion drug causes adverse health events in 11% of cases. That's 22 times greater than the FDA label, another fact you haven't acknowledged, and yet you won't even acknowledge the basic reality that biological men don't get pregnant. There's a difference between biological men and biological women. I don't know how we can take you seriously and your claims to be a person of science if you won't level with this on this basic issue. I thought we were past all of this, frankly. I can't believe we're still here talking about this.
I am a person of science, and I'm also someone here who's here to represent the complex experiences of my patients. And
your patients can have complex experiences and wishes. They can wish that they are, I don't know, a tree, but it doesn't mean that they are a tree. They have a delusion. They are crazy. It's as simple as that. You don't want to offend them, and by not wanting to offend them, you are putting people in danger. This is the reality. This is what these people are dangerous. These people are dangerous. They claim to be with a science, they claim to be scientists, they claim to be are doctors, are actual doctors, and they act like this. This is nothing short of criminal. This is criminal. Could be laughable, yes, we can have a good time making fun of them, but it's concerning because there's actual human lives at stake with this. We're talking about, we're talking about drugs on people who maybe actually need them and need to be given to the right kind of people. Not people with delusions that, oh yeah, I can get pregnant. Yeah, sure. How does that work?
I don't think polarized language or questions serve that goal. I don't think they serve the American people.
It is not polarizing to say that there is a scientific difference between men and women. And I want this to be clear and for the record. It is not polarizing to say that women are a biological reality and should be treated and protected as such. That is not polarizing, that is truth. It is also, by the way, the United States Constitution, which offers unique protections to women in a variety of circumstances as women. And your refusal to recognize women as women and men as men is deeply corrosive to science, to public trust, and yes, to constitutional protections for women as women. And I think it's extraordinary that you would sit here and advance a political agenda that has been thoroughly discredited and rejected by the American people in this forum. And I'm glad we had this exchange because it is exceptionally clarifying. It is also in many ways quite depressing. I see that my time has nearly expired. I just want to thank the other witnesses for being here. Thank you for protecting women and children. Thank you for your valiant efforts. Thank you for following the science.
Yeah, this is again, it's almost from a Saturday Night Live sketch. Chris sent a super chat, and Chris, you're using Venezuelan Spanish the right way. Chris just said una gafa. Una gafa is what we say in Venezuelan, that she is dumb. She's a fool. Okay, she's a fool. But again, she's foolish and irresponsible, I would say. She's quite irresponsible, and I don't know how this has gone to this far. I have no idea how this has gone this far, but it is. It is. Well, it has. This is the right way to say it. I don't know. This is really concerning. And again, I remembered all those instances in which I can't imagine. I was just exposed to a glimpse on a TV ad one single time, only one time. Imagine a kid exposed to that. That's cool. Every day for years. It's no wonder that so many people are crazy, are infected with the craziness. I don't know. CW identifies as a millionaire. I identify as a millionaire as well. I want to manifest that. We need to go full Tony Robbins with that. We need to go full Tony Robbins. Full Tony Robbins on air. We still have one last topic. I still have one topic, much more lighter for today's special show. I want to round this up to 2 hours, because why not? You only have 100 shows once in your life, so let's go for it.